friend, friends and neighbor, or shall I say this afternoon?
Welcome back to the Steelers franchise on Madden 22. I'm your host, longtime listener. Be sure to drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and comment below. There's going to be a lot going on in this episode, a lot to try and break down, some changes that we've made, and some, obviously, the draft upcoming. So we're going to jump right in here. You obviously see at quarterback, we've known this all along. We're going to need to draft one. It's probably going to be our first draft pick. Now at running back, not only do we have four that are acceptable, I guess we could say. We've got one that's really good, and we're still pretty young across the board here. I don't know how much longer we've got Kalen Ballage locked up for, but once he's gone, Anthony McFarland basically just steps into that third back role, and maybe we look at drafting one at some point in the relatively near future, but we're good there. I'm okay with the 70 overall fullback. Wide receiver, kind of the same situation as running back. We've got guys that are acceptable as far as their overall skill level, and we're pretty young, so I don't think we need to address that right now. Tight end is solid for the time being. I don't think it's going to be long before Freiermuth becomes our kind of go-to guy. So whenever Ebron is due for a contract extension again, we'll probably just let him go and move on and start looking in different directions. Maybe depending on what kind of money he's wanting at the time, but we'll see how that goes. Now, at left tackle, I'm not sure who's going to start here. It's either going to be Dan Moore, Okorafor, or hopefully whoever we're able to draft, assuming that they are a better pass blocker than Dan Moore. It's probably going to be, Dan Moore or whoever we draft. But if whoever we draft happens to not be like as polished of a pass blocker for whatever reason, then we'll leave Moore here. But you can see Moore is definitely a better run blocker than he is pass blocker. And at left tackle, I feel like your pass blocking is a little bit more important. So hopefully whoever we draft is a more polished pass blocker, and if they're not quite as sharp run blocking as Dan Moore, we're okay with that. We'll move Moore to right tackle, and that will solve that problem. Dotson is our left guard. Finney is 30 years old. I think we only have him for one more year. But at 66 and 30 years old, he's probably not going to be worth keeping around too much longer. Kendrick Green is our starting center. We might draft a center with one of our 7th round picks if there's somebody there that we've scouted that we think could be a sleeper, but it's going to be hard to get somebody that's worth a whole lot that deep in the draft. Basically, we just need a depth guy anyway, so we'll see what we can do there. At right guard, it's going to be Trey Turner. I moved Joe Haig from right tackle to right guard just so we have a second right guard on the roster. And then at right tackle, right now the only one we're showing is Zach Banner, but there's going to be another one after the draft. So we'll see how it goes. Now, this is where it gets crazy. I moved TJ Watt from left outside linebacker to left end. He is a 95 overall rated left end. So that's awesome. Like, he's going to be a freaking monster. At right end, we moved Cam Hayward inside to defensive tackle, which you'll see in a second. Now, Chris Wormley is a little bit oversized for what I would like to see from a 4-3 defensive end, but the right end position is typically known as one that's kind of meant to be a run-stopping position. So we'll see how that goes. I think he'll do just fine there. He might not make a ton of plays and certainly won't be having as many sacks as he did last year, but I think he's serviceable. At a 77 overall, he's not that bad. So there's that. Then we've got inside Cam Hayward, who, when we move him in, he becomes a 95 overall defensive tackle. Tuitt is a 93. And then you've got we moved Tuitt from left end into defensive tackle. So Hayward came from right end. Tuitt came from left end, and they go into the interior, and these guys are going to be gorillas in there. I love what we've got going on up the middle. Now, Alualu is an 80 overall, 35-year-old defensive tackle. And the overalls, I think, reflect the adjusted after our staff bonuses. So he's really like a 78 in the eyes of the league. I don't know if we can get much for him, but he's not doing us a whole lot of good on the bench other than he's there in case one of these guys gets hurt. So we might look at trade options for him, but if there's nothing that like I feel like is a really good option for us, we'll just hang on to him and let him finish his contract here. Now we moved T.J. Watt out of the left outside linebacker position, so we had to do some shuffling here. Joe Schobert going to move outside and play left outside linebacker. He'll be an 81 overall there. Speed might be a little bit of a concern, but he's pretty polished and a decent pass coverage guy, so I think he'll do okay there. We also moved Spillane out there just so our depth chart is balanced in terms of like the numbers of guys at each position. Madden didn't recognize some of these changes, so like now according to Madden, like our number one overall need is left outside linebacker because it says we don't have anybody playing there, which is weird. Excuse me. So Devin Bush going to stay at middle linebacker. He's going to be a stud. Now Buddy Johnson is listed as our second string basically, but Spillane can also play this position. Joe Schobert can play this position, so we have some options there, but hopefully we just keep Devin Bush healthy and don't have to worry about that too much. At right outside linebacker, we knew this was coming. Alex Highsmith going to have to step up and take over in that role with Ingram vacating that position. So I'm not sure why his awareness and press coverage or whatever are down from where they like normally should be. Maybe it's a morale thing. I'm not sure. But hopefully that gets fixed in the offseason. Cam Sutton will be our best corner, more than likely. We're going to go try and find one in free agency. And I'm hoping that it's somebody somewhere in the neighborhood of about as good as what he is. But I don't know what we'll be able to afford and leave room for growth and improvement in future seasons. Because we want to be able to re-sign guys and keep them around, and to do that, you usually got to pay them more. So we don't want to go spending every penny that we've got in the cap, because we got to look forward to the future. Now, Joe Hayden is a 77 overall. He'll be a good option in the slot. Same thing with Akello Willerspoon, and Lane is not even that bad. So we've got some decent options at corner. Now 27 isn't exactly it's not old, but at corner you probably only have maybe 3 more good solid years in you before you start to drop off in terms of your overall. So we need to be kind of thinking about how we can shore up that position long term. I always struggle to draft really good corners, and I think it's mainly because typically you've got to have a pick in like the top 10 to get a stud corner out of the draft, and I'm almost never picking there because we win football games. So Fitzpatrick is going to be the free safety. Norwood will back him up, and he's only 25 years old, Fitzpatrick, so we're good there. And then same thing with Edmonds. He's only 25, 79 overall, so he's going to be the strong safety for a little while. Killebrew at 29 years old, 64 overall. He's on the chopping block when time comes for a re-signing. Chris Boswell, the kicker, and Harvin will be the punter. So our team, in terms of like holes in the roster right now, is not that bad, with the obvious exception of quarterback and I think offensive tackle. So now it says see combine results, but when I click on it, basically it just takes you to the prospects tab. And now what I already went ahead and did, I will go ahead and just filter by favorites, because I went and picked guys that I feel comfortable drafting based on what I know about them right now. I don't really know why these guys are stacked this way in terms of the order because like these are first rounders. These guys are not. Maybe it has to do with how they did in the combine, but Grant Crawford, I think, is going to end up being the guy that we end up having to draft because if the draft goes the way the mock drafts are showing, he's going to be the only one still there by the time it gets to us, at least on the list that we have put together here. So let me show you the 4. We've got Andrew Brothers. So let's start at the bottom because it doesn't really matter. But Seth Pearman, if he's there, he's one that I think we might, like to get our hands on. He's got B, deep accuracy, and then A for medium and short. He can throw under pressure. Now we look at his physicals. The throwing power is the thing that concerns me, and then he did not compete in the combine. So everything else is just kind of word of mouth. We might see what he does at the pro day, and maybe then we kind of make a judgment call as to how athletic he really is. But that solid throw power kind of makes me a little bit nervous. He's got good awareness. He can break sacks. I'd like to know what his carrying rating is, because if he's going to be a scrambling running quarterback, I need him to also be able to hold on to the football. So it stinks that that's one of the ones that we didn't get out of this. I don't care about his trucking. But he looks like he's going to be pretty good, is the bottom line. Then we go up to Kenny Smith. So Kenny Smith, I didn't get any of his key ratings out of the the scouting process. Scouted him to 80%, and our scouts didn't bother to go and look at any of the ones that really matter. Now, good throw power, not real thrilled about that. I'd like to see great for throw power, but good and solid might be okay. It makes me a little nervous. His physical skills are really good. This guy can fly. 4.49 40. And then, he's in the top 4 in most of those other reps or, drills or whatever. The bench is not a big deal in my book. As a quarterback, I don't think that, doing a ton of bench reps is that big of a deal. Maybe it has something to do with your injury rating. I'm not sure. Again, really good awareness. He can throw on the run. The C carrying isn't terrible. But there's room for improvement there. So the thing that concerns me here is I don't know how accurate of a thrower he is. So it's hard for me to draft a guy if I don't know if you can, hit a wide receiver on a slant route. All right. Andrew Brothers out of Clemson. A, medium throw accuracy. A, throw under pressure. So those are both very good looking results there. His physicals are pretty solid as well. All of them, up around the top 5. A 4.71 40, that's, in reality, for normal people, that's pretty fast. But compared to some of the other QBs in this draft class, it's kind of middle of the pack, toward the top, but still acceptable. This guy can move. I'm not worried about his athleticism. So him being able to scramble, I think, is there. But the D carrying makes me really, really nervous. I'd have a hard time drafting that guy based on that alone, but we're going to leave him on the board because he at least fits the mold of the kind of quarterback that we want from a physical skills perspective. Grant Crawford, B in terms of medium throw accuracy, short throw accuracy, and throw under pressure. But his physicals are elite. All of them in the top 5. He runs a 4.5 40. He's agile. He's quick. He's strong. He can jump. This guy is a true all-around athlete. You look at his ratings there on the left-hand side. All of them either great or elite, including a great rating for throw power, which I like. Now, you look here, they're all either A or B. I don't know his awareness, but that's something that I can control to an extent. I think awareness can affect how sharp you are in like road games or how well you do. Like let's say he comes out first pass of the game, he's off the mark or it's a dropped pass. Like sometimes guys just fall apart in that scenario, and for like the next 5 passes, they're kind of hit and miss. So I think maybe awareness affects that, but I'm okay looking at the rest of his ratings here. An A carrying, A throw on the run, A play action, B on everything else. We don't know his deep throw accuracy, but I don't throw it deep a ton anyway. So this guy is, like, of all the guys that we've looked at, he's the one we want, and yet he is still slated to go in the second or third round. Now, we can't try to let him fall that far. We've got to take him in the first round, because by the time it gets down there, there's probably only going to be like 1 or 2 even remotely decent quarterbacks on the board. And if it's not him and one of these other guys, I don't know that we even consider anybody else. So that's that. We're not looking at any halfbacks, fullbacks, or wide receivers in terms of guys that we might consider drafting. These 2 guys here we've got selected in case they are there in that 7th round when we still have some picks. I just tried to find guys that have some attributes that I think could turn them into a respectable player for the depth chart. So this guy can run block. And then when we look at his physicals, like he's actually fairly quick in terms of his speed, and he is strong. So I like his physical, results from the combine. His skills, maybe a little bit of room for improvement, but we don't know a whole lot here. Stamina, probably not that important. Trucking, injury, I don't really care about too much at the tight end position. All we know is that he's a decent run blocker. I'd like to at least see if he can catch. But he's a guy that, again, 7th round, we don't know a whole lot about him, but what we do know, we kind of like. So there's that. And then Brett Harris, sort of the same story. We know that he can catch, so that's obviously important for tight ends. And then again, we look at his physical skills at the combine, and this dude can move, and he's super strong. Like, I like what we got out of him. We don't know much other than he's not like super polished running short routes, which is a little bit of a concern. But again, these are 7th round picks that we're maybe talking about here, so not a big deal. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I don't think Henry Forden is going to be around by the time we're looking to draft with our 2nd pick, but the dude can pass block. He's got pretty good physicals, although like strength is key at left tackle, so that's a big one. But his agility has room for improvement. I'm not so sure that this guy is like a can't miss left tackle in the first round, which if they're that good, they are like listed as top 5 or top 10 or whatever, and I just don't see that happening with this guy. But you look at his core attributes, A, B, B, and then run block finesse is a C, but we don't know the rest, so it's kind of hard to say, but those are all acceptable. So he's a guy that if he's there, we probably take him, but I don't think he's going to be there. And we take him kind of holding our breath because we don't know what we get in terms of like he's probably a normal dev trait, I think. So anyway, Ed Allen, A, awareness, which I love on the offensive line. He's not going to screw up and miss a block. His strength is a little bit of a concern at 18th among left tackles, but 33 bench reps is not that bad. If you're facing a speedy defensive end speed rusher type, those bench reps are just fine. If you're facing a bull rushing, 3-4 type defensive end who's, does like 38 bench reps, then they're just stronger than you, and that can become a challenge. But his speed isn't bad. His athleticism looks okay. The 3-cone drill may be a little bit of a concern. This is a guy we're going to look to see what he does at the pro day, but bottom line, he looks okay. Pass block finesse, A. Injury is in the middle of the pack. Lead blocking, I don't care about too much. So he looks like he's got the tools of somebody that we could use on the offensive line. And then Levi Jackson's the last one on the list. And this one I also find to be a little bit interesting because he's got A, awareness, which again, I love. I think that's a huge deal for overall as offensive linemen go. And he's got B, pass blocking. Now we look at his physicals. He's super quick. I mean, super quick. Like his speed, jumping, cone drills, shuttles are all like top notch. Bench reps, that number concerns me. 30 bench reps in the combine. I've got to hope that he does better in the pro day and gets that up to like 32-ish. If he does, I really like this guy. We see, even with his run block finesse and power, those are okay. The C, run block power, doesn't surprise me because strength does not appear to be his strong suit. But I think this guy, just looking at what we know about his physical skills and the fact that he's got A, awareness, that could be huge in terms of dev trait to where we might get a hidden dev trait with a guy like that. Nobody at guard. I've got a couple centers here. I'm not going to bother showing you. These are guys that we're considering maybe for our 3rd round pick, but realistically probably for our 7th round pick. And it's probably one of these two guys that might still be there because I think this is the number 1 rated center that's on the board. So anyway, right guard, nothing. Right tackle, it's just Dion Bird, and I don't think he's going to be there by the time it's our turn to pick. Now he's a C, pass block. I think this guy maybe, his physicals are incredible. That's what this guy brings to the table. I'm thinking that, if he's got even decent awareness, this guy could be really good. B, pass block finesse and power. So even though he's a C pass block, he kind of makes up for it with those other ratings. A, run block finesse. This guy I think is going to be really good. The problem is I'm not sure he's going to be around by the time we're picking anyway. So we'll have to see how that shakes loose. When you're the best offensive tackle on the board, you're probably going early. Hang on a second. I need to drink a coffee. All right. Gerald, Campbell at left end, and Eric Warwick. The reason these guys are up here is realistically, I was looking for a left end that was more of a 4-3 fit in terms of their size. Like I wanted somebody that was more of a speed rusher coming off the edge because I want big, not necessarily huge D tackles, but strong D tackles up the middle, and then more of the speed rushing type off the edge. That's kind of what I prefer to try and get sacks coming around the corner. So anyway, I'm looking at a couple of those guys just in case one of them are there with that 3rd round pick. I don't think they're going to be there, but if they are, we want to be ready to take a look at them. In fact, I'll just kind of show you. I mean, you can see their size is acceptable. This guy's a really good tackler. He's the fastest D lineman basically in the draft, and he's strong for left ends, 32 bench reps. With his speed, that is a deadly combo. Like, that's crazy, freakish athlete type stuff. He's injury prone, but that guy could end up being pretty darn good. Be interested to see, like, we're probably not going to get to draft him, but I'm wondering how, what his dev trait is. Finesse moves is a B here, and then again, really good physicals from this guy. He's really fast and really strong, and looks like he's agile as well. So those are hard combos to find in guys with this build. He's not injury prone, and all of his core attributes that they show us, other than the injury, are a B, and the injury is an A. Like, that guy's a steal. So that's what we got going on there. Tyrone Hargrove. I'm not going to show you these because we got to get moving here. We've been at this for long enough. D tackle, we're looking at a bunch because my 3rd round pick, this is what we're basically looking at. Now, I think this guy could end up being really good, and I'm not going to show you the ratings, but I think he could end up being really good. Quincy Shields, I am going to show you because I'm curious about this dude. The downside here to our scouting situation is that we don't know any of his key ratings. So realistically, Madden, you kind of, in my book, missed the mark with this new scouting process. maybe I just didn't understand exactly how it works, and we didn't spread out our focus to learn a little bit about a lot of different positions. But we know nothing about this guy that is like super noteworthy in terms of key ratings. Then I want to show you his other skills. C awareness is not the greatest, but it's okay. And at D tackle, probably not a huge deal. Play recognition could be a big one. Because if you remember Chris Wormley getting a bunch of sacks this year on screen plays, I wonder if that's not play recognition and him realizing, like, I got to get to that quarterback right now. Now, the other core attributes are not the greatest here, but for a day 3 pick and somebody that we're basically just kind of hoping gives us some depth in the D-line position. The reason I'm looking at this here is we do have some guys there that are getting up there in age. Alu's probably going to be gone next year, so there's some stuff going on from that perspective. Now, his other physicals are not the greatest, but 40 bench reps is insane. So with that kind of strength, you're going to make plays every now and then just because you manhandled a guy across from you. So we'll keep an eye on him. He might be there when we're looking to take that 3rd round pick. I'm really hoping that Marquis Nance is there, but I don't think he's going to be. In fact, I'll just real quick show you what he's got. So, finesse moves I think is awesome. He's pretty good across the board there. And then here, pursuit, C, not the greatest, but, the finesse moves plus the kind of strength that he's got and speed, I think that guy could end up being pretty good. Outside linebacker, there wasn't really anybody there. We got a couple of linebackers here. Like, this guy might be somebody that we maybe consider taking. I'd like to get Mark Money because he looks actually really athletic, but I don't think he's going to be there in the 3rd round. This guy might be there, so he's somebody that we might look at. That's basically why these other guys are scouted, is to try and replenish our depth chart at that position. Now, this one, as much as I would love to take, like, Frank Newton's a beast. He's going to be gone. Shontavious Crisp looks like he's going to be a really good player, but if he's not there in the 3rd round, we're not going to get him because we've got to get. Well, I take that back. If there's no good left tackle or offensive tackle there by the time we're making our 2nd pick, and Shontavious Crisp is there, we're taking Crisp because he's a really good player. And then these other guys are basically, ones that we're looking for later in the draft. And I didn't scout any of the other positions. So that's what we got going on in terms of guys that are on our board. We don't have to do a whole lot there because we only have 5 picks. And realistically, I would be doing more at a lot of different positions if we had a pick in every round, but we don't. So now what we need to do, see, we've got $20 million to spend in the salary cap. And as we kind of talked about earlier in terms of things that we're looking for in free agency, it's corner. If I can get a really good corner, then maybe we shore up that position at least for this year. I'd love to get somebody that I can sign to 3 or 4 year deal, but like you look at Carlton Davis, he's definitely the cream of the crop in this class. 25 years old and an 85 overall, but he's basically looking at getting about 12 million a year, which in reality is not that bad, but I don't want to spend that kind of money and have it all tied up in one position player. So Dante Jackson looks a little bit more appealing to me because I could probably get him for more like 9 or 10 million based on what we see. At 26 years old, 83 overall, he wants basically a 3-year deal worth about 27 million. That's what they're calling a fair offer. What I'm going to try to do is offer him a 2-year deal worth like 21 million. So I'm paying him more per year, but for a shorter contract. It's a risk. If we get him, it's awesome because he's good at man coverage. We can just put him on the outside and move Hayden and Witherspoon into the slot, and then I think we're really good. If I don't get him, there are 3 or 4 guys here that I could just use for a year. Like even Garyon Conley sign him to a 1 or 2 year deal, and he helps us, is the bottom line. So we're going to take a crack at Dante Johnson here. And again, I don't want to have him tied up. I don't want to have him tying up too much of our money over the next couple of years. We're going to leave the signing bonus. Actually, let's boost that up. Let's make it like 5 mil. And then in terms of salary, let's go right there and see if we can't get him. He's tying up basically half of that, 20 million in cap room that we had. That is a really, really good offer. We just have to see if it's enough compared to what the other teams are bringing to the table. So there's that. The only other position that I want to look at, let's actually look at, there's nothing there that's like super sexy. And I'm not getting into a bidding war for Armstead at 31 years old. So we're going to just look for a backup center, basically. I don't need anybody outrageous here. I just want somebody that's a scheme fit, not looking for a ton of money, not even looking for like a long-term deal. This guy wants 1 year, 2.3 mil, 29 years old. That works for me. Let's take a look at some of the others, though, and just see if they're a little bit more balanced. Not that it's a huge deal at center, but if I've got somebody that is, I want somebody that is a, their best attribute or best scheme fit or whatever is power. I think, who was it? Skura? He's our guy. Let's just make him an offer somewhere in the neighborhood of what he wants here. We're going to lower that a little bit, and we're going to lower that a little bit, because I don't think anybody else is going to make him an offer anyway. And that's a really good one in reality. So he's going to sign with us. Not worried about that at all. The question becomes, what happens at cornerback? So let's advance a week here and see if we get lucky. Coffee time. Come on. I want to see 2 contracts accepted. And then we'll take a look at this next mock draft, I guess, kind of after the combine. Not sure what's going on there. Oh, we got both of them. Heck yeah. That's huge. I was kind of expecting to not get Jackson. So, all right, now we can see Pro Day results as well as the mock draft. So, basically what I want to do is just come back in. There was somebody that didn't go to the combine. Was it Kenny Smith or was it Seth Peterman? I can't remember. I think it was one of the quarterbacks. Yeah, it was this guy. Okay, so he's got decent speed. He's got decent, he's pretty good. He's okay there. So he's an option that stays on the board. So, all right. Now that we know that, I don't think I really need to look at a whole lot else, because we'll see it on draft day. When we get to where it's our turn to pick, we're going to be looking at the positions that we want with that pick and just kind of compare notes as we go. I don't need to look at the mock draft again. They only do 1 round, and we have seen 3 already that basically show me getting a corner or a quarterback and one of the slim pickings as far as those top class of QBs. So I don't need any more free agents. I think we're ready to just keep on moving forward until we get to the draft, y'all. Now, there should be private workouts, I think, coming up, if I remember correctly, from the scouting update. So we might be able to take a couple of guys that we're kind of on the fence about. Here we go, scouting, private workouts. Now, oh my gosh, my wife keeps calling me, and I don't want to talk to her right now. All right, private workouts. So we need to pick 3 here. And let's try and be a little bit strategic here in terms of, like, trying to think. This is a guy, I want to see him. Because remember, we looked at him and he was like, I feel like a sleeper at that spot. So I kind of want to know a little bit more about him. Same thing with, who was it at D tackle? Quincy Shields. He's listed as a day 3 selection. And this is the guy that had like superhuman strength. So we'll take a look at him. And then maybe corner we've already addressed, so I'm not as likely to take that. How about this last middle linebacker? If I remember correctly, this is a guy that he's on this board here as a potential 7th round pick, but one that I think could be actually, well, maybe not 7th round, but we might even look at him in the 3rd round because he does a lot of things pretty well in terms of like his physical skills were all pretty solid, not like elite, but all pretty good. And he, he just looks like a guy that could be a solid NFL player. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Hang on a second. All right. So let's see here. We don't need to do anything here. Let's actually, just out of curiosity, we've got 10 million here. Let's see if there are any like still really good veteran players, but the rest of the league is ignoring, like Richie Incognito. We could sign him to a 1-year deal, but like we have a decent set of guards already. That would be silly. I could even go and sign Jason. Like, these guys not getting any offers is ridiculous. Antonio Brown is down here. So there are some guys that, maybe if there's an injury, we go and bring them in. But anyway, none that really stood out that, and honestly, I don't feel like we have any, like, glaring holes in our roster at this point. Dang it, hang on a second. All right, so I think we're ready to just advance and get up to the draft, y'all. So we've got a final mock draft coming up here, which now that the pro day and the combine are behind us, let's go and actually look at this and just see which QB they've got us selecting in the 1st round. Oh, come on. I didn't know I could go that way. Okay, they've got us taking Grant Crawford. That's totally fine with me. Now here's Ed Allen, that left tackle. Mark Money, the linebacker that we looked at. There's the other left tackle. You've got, QB's going there. I didn't see Shontavious Crisp. Did anybody else? There's Frank Newton. No surprise that he's going way up there. So I don't see Shontavious Crisp, which means he might be there in that 2nd round, and man, will I be tempted to take him. Even though we, really need a left tackle. Wait, was Dion Bird gone too? Yeah. So 3 of the 4 left tackles that we're looking at are gone. The one that's not is that, what was the dude's name? I don't remember. Let's go look. So we go into prospects now. And we go here. So who did we target with the workouts? This guy, Levi Jackson. Awesome name, by the way. C, impact block. B, pass block. A, awareness. His physicals. Oh, look at this bench reps. He goes from 30 to 34 and still, like, crushed it in the other ones. This guy could be a gem. Injury trouble. But, like, his pass block skills and his run block skills, those are acceptable. B's and C's I can kind of live with, especially if you've got really good awareness. I'm worried about the injuries, but that could be a steal if we can get him in the second round, and he's still projected to go in the third or fourth round. My fear, though, is that he's like the next best left tackle, and if everybody else did their homework and figured out how good he could be, we're not going to get him. Who else did we look at? Was it a D tackle? Quincy. Quincy? Come on, man. Come on, be awesome. C, block shedding. D, finesse moves. C, tackling. I'm worried about that finesse moves, but this guy's, you know, his best attribute is his strength. So, show me some power moves. Really good play recognition. We saw that. Dang it. I want to see his power moves. Now, as a day 3 projection, though, like, I still kind of like what that guy gives us. As a, you know, potential depth option at D tackle. Did I look at a linebacker, was it? Devarius Goodwin. What do you got for me, Devarius? C, pursuit and tackling. That makes me a little nervous at middle linebacker, but if you're a late third rounder, he still has he did really well at the combine and pro day. B, awareness. Hit power, man coverage is okay. Like, a lot of this stuff is just like okay, and that's kind of what I remembered looking at these physicals. You know, his combine stuff is just like solid, and the agility, I think, is where this guy thrives. He's got pretty good top end speed, but he's also got good amazing cone drill. The shuttle is awesome. He's decent at jumping, which, you know, doesn't matter a ton. Maybe in like a cover 2 it can. And then bench reps were pretty impressive. So he actually got worse with the bench reps, but he got faster at the pro day. So anyway, that's a maybe. So that's all we really need to look at there, because those should be the only things that have changed. And now it is time. Right? Is it draft time after this week, or is there another week in the middle? I think that's it. All right, here we go. Time for the draft, baby. I just spilled coffee on my lap. Awesome. Thankfully, it's not too hot by now. Okay. Let's start the NFL draft. Now,
on the clock.
For the first round, what we will do is just go and see who picked who. So Mac Logan goes first. There was another QB, I think, projected to go second.
The Giants.
Yep. I wish it would show you their overall like I think it used to.
Let's see who they have their eye on.
Okay, Giants take a D tackle. The Titans had a terrible season.
The Chargers now on the clock.
They got Frank Newton. Dang, that guy, I'm telling you, he's going to be a stud. I'm going to look him up and see how he's rated, and I guarantee you he's a hidden dev trait. Right end. There goes Dion Bird.
Okay, the Jaguars are
wide
now
receivers. I want to see a bunch of wide receivers and tight ends come off the board. Dang it.
The Bills
there goes. Okay, guards. I'm okay with seeing come off the board.
We turn to the Eagles. They're on the clock. The
Gerald Campbell gone. Another defensive end gone.
On the
Saints.
Now, it's the
Okay,
Giants.
there goes Seth Pearman. He was the one that didn't go to the combine, but did at the pro day. The Saints pick him up. Giants, another pick. This time they get a left guard. Eagles make a terrible pick. I remember looking at that guy thinking, like, how is this guy a first rounder? Evan Payton goes to the Bengals.
And now we turn to the Jets.
Another left end off the board. So I know we scouted some ends, but it's not looking like any of them are going to be even an option for us to pick.
On the clock now,
there goes another one.
The Eagles are now
there goes another one. Jeez.
All right, now on the clock.
Another guard.
Texans.
Are we going to get the quarterback situation?
Now on the clock, it's the Vikings.
James Money. I can't remember what we thought about him.
Okay, it's the Falcons now.
Okay,
on the clock.
there goes another QB. I think that's 4
The
of them
Chiefs
already.
on the
There
clock
goes
now.
another.
On the clock now, it's the Patriots.
And now a left tackle. There goes. He was the #1 ranked left tackle.
Okay,
so
here
the
we
top
go. The Cardinals now
right
on the
tackle
clock.
and left tackle are gone. I think there's 2 left that we were considering.
The Browns are now on the clock.
Sterling Adams. I think I remember looking at him thinking, man, he's going to be pretty darn good, but there's no chance we're going to get him. So
All right, it's the Panthers now on
there
the clock.
goes Mark Money. Dang it, I wanted him to fall to like the 3rd round.
The Broncos are on the
Oh
clock now.
no, another left tackle.
The Bucks on the clock now. Let's see who
Andrew
they have
Brothers going to Denver. So I think Grant
All right,
Crawford
it's
is
the
still
Steelers
there.
Now on the clock.
And we need to make our selection. And it's going to be Grant Crawford. 99% sure of it based on what we've seen so far. Yep. Come on. Please, 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 please have a hidden dev trait.
The Cowboys on the clock now. What direction will they
Dang
go?
it. That stinks. 92 throw power, 90 speed, 90 acceleration, 91 agility, 85 change of direction. This guy,
The Jets now on the clock.
he's going to
Let's
be
see what
tough
they
to
do.
deal with. So, all right, who just picked? The Cowboys took a tight end. All right, now we're going to just go ahead and skip ahead to our pick. Actually, no, we're not.
Okay, it's the Lions.
Yeah,
now
we
on the
are.
clock.
I'm not going to be trading or anything based on what I see at this point.
And the Steelers on the clock now. Let's see
So-
what direction they go.
I really need to cross your fingers that there's still a left tackle. That, what was it, Levi Jackson? There he is. I think we've got to take him. Of who we still have on the board, can I just pause the draft? I mean, it's a video game. It's okay if we pause and don't give ourselves the 2-minute time limit. Because I noticed that the draft board that I've got is not sorted by where they are supposed to get selected. Like Ben Huff, it looks like a pretty good center, but we're not taking a center. Ooh, this guy I think is going to be really good. Quincy's still there. There are still some D tackles. I didn't see Shontavious Crisp is gone. That's who I was looking for. So we're taking Levi Jackson. And I don't know what we're getting here. I'm hoping he's like a low 70s with a star dev trait, which I don't even know if they show you. I think it just comes up as hidden.
Okay, it's the Cowboys
But-
now on the clock.
Ooh, and it is hidden. That's awesome. So it's probably not normal. In fact, I think it's guaranteed to not be normal here. Change of direction sucks, but I don't know that that really matters as a left tackle. But all right, I'm happy with what we got there. Hidden dev trait is huge. Now we just need to hope that he's like rated in the low 70s overall with a little bit of balance and can pass block. So now let's go ahead and skip to our next pick, which will be 31st in the 3rd
Now we
round.
turn to the Steelers. They're on the clock.
And here's where it's going to start looking like slim pickings on our draft board. Okay, there are a couple tight ends. Quincy is there at D tackle. Wait, was it Quincy Shields or Dennis Shields? It's this one because we honed in on him. You know, I kind of want to add some depth at middle linebacker, but we really have a bunch of guys that can play there, and we're not like aging at that position either. I mean, he's projected as a day 3 guy, but I think this is a steal. You know, his key ratings aren't the greatest, but that strength is hard to it's just hard to deal with. So we're going to do it. I don't know about everybody else is either day 3. Let's just look at Goodwin again. Like, he had C tackling. At middle linebacker, that worries me. So, we just kind of have to hope maybe we get lucky and can get him way later in the draft. This guy was projected to go 2nd or 3rd round. He's got pretty good zone coverage. He's undersized, though. 223, I feel like, at linebacker is a little on the light side. He's fairly quick. Decent bench reps. I mean, not the greatest, though. I'd like to see that more like 25, 26. And D play recognition. That concerns me. We're taking Quincy. 1, because I like his name. And 2, because that strength at a position where it's so important. Oh, another hidden dev. Wow. 2 out of 3. Honestly, I would have preferred that it was Crawford instead of these guys. But that's huge. All right, now manage staff. So now it's going to be a while before we draft. I would have preferred to have Crawford have the hidden dev trait, but in reality, if I do well with him, it might be where he gets a breakout scenario anyway, and that jumps up to star, hopefully sooner rather than later. All right, so we have the first pick in the 7th round. Do we have anybody still on the board that we've kind of got on our favorites list? We do. Wait, the clock is going again. I only need to analyze 3 players here, but don't be doing that nonsense to me. No, don't skip ahead. Alright, who do we want here? There was a center. I already got a center in free agency. Outside line. So this guy is still here? That's crazy. Projected to go in the 2nd or 3rd round, but everybody's looking away from him. And it's, I think it's his size. Always looks for the massive hit, struggles to find the ball in the air, motor's running hot, looks to rip the ball, doesn't get flagged, loves to spin as a counter move, relies on a swift arm over move, and uses speed to power to bull rush blockers. So maybe he just uses his speed to his advantage. I mean, the bench reps aren't the greatest, but they're 6th among. I mean, I think this is our guy.
All right, it's the Browns
I don't know
now
how
on the
good he
clock.
is. Normal dev trait. The speed's okay. I would have liked that to have been a little bit higher. Change of direction's not the greatest. Those agility and change of direction ratings actually kind of worry me. Strength. I mean, I don't know what we got out of that. He's probably a low 60s. It's okay though. 7th round. I'm not expecting a rock star. It'd be nice if somebody else that we've scouted is still on the board here for this last pick, but I doubt that there will be. Maybe that center.
The Steelers are now
Let's
on
take
the
a
clock.
look. Is there anybody still on our board? I was surprised that anyone was still there. Yeah, so there's nobody there. So let's look at all regions. We drafted a defensive tackle. We drafted an outside linebacker, Nigel Ward. Let's take a look at this guy. No, we already drafted a D tackle. So how about Damon? Hold on. Actually, you know what? Let's go. What position can we maybe still use? Tight end. Now this guy projected to be undrafted. He's moving up the board, but that doesn't matter a ton. Catching traffic. He's got some speed and athleticism. He can't catch. He can't block. See awareness. I kind of wish he would have had at least like D for run block power. But he's got speed. So, suffers from drops. Whatever.
All right, next up, the Patriots are on the
Just
clock.
take him. We'll see what we get. I mean, he's a depth guy anyway, but I wish he would have been a little bit better at blocking, because early in his career, that's all he's going to do. Okay. So now, resume. Last pick of the draft for the Patriots. So, you got that pick from the Cowboys, apparently. Who are they going to take? All right, seriously. So that's it. Let's go look at what we got here. They don't show you the overalls when you draft them. So we kind of need to go and look and see what we got. Draft recap. Let's take a look-see here. Come on. Okay. So Crawford is a 74 overall. He's got crazy good speed. The awareness is 73. That needs to come up some, but I don't think that's a big deal. 71 carrying. I really don't know how good that is in terms of like for quarterbacks, but I feel like that's pretty good. He's gonna, make some guys miss, but I don't really want him juking and doing all that kind of stuff all that much anyway. Where's his throw power and such? 92 throw power, 82 short accuracy is pretty solid. This medium accuracy is not the greatest. Deep at 79 is acceptable, and he can throw on the run. He's okay at throwing under pressure. Can break some sacks, decent play action. Like, I think we got a guy that will be okay. He's going to have to make some plays, and I'm sure he's going to, have some errant throws early in his career, but he has some upside. Now, Levi Jackson, left tackle. Remember, this is a hidden dev trait, and he's a 72 overall. I want to see his pass blocking. In fact, we'll look at it on the depth chart. Who was next? Quincy, 69 overall, and he was a hidden dev trait. Then we got a 63 overall outside linebacker and a 59 overall tight end. So, you get what you get in the 7th round. So let's now go look. Actually, wait. I want to look at who was it that got that corner? Frank Newton, 83. And I'll bet you he's a hidden dev trait. Can I? Yep. He's 83 and then 82 in the other two archetypes. Like, this guy is a stud. Is he the best overall that was drafted? It looks that way. Pretty darn. Oh, there's Sean Tavius. Only a 74 overall. I'm kind of surprised by that. But, actually, what's his dev trait? Just out of curiosity. Also hidden. So I would have been okay with that pick if we would have got him in the 2nd round, but it would have been a scenario where like none of the left tackles we wanted were there, and he was. Obviously that didn't play out. But any other steals down here that just kind of jump off the page? I mean, there are still a bunch of mid-70s guys down here, and then, we got a 72 overall left tackle, which isn't, it's not terrible. But anyway. All right. Now what we need to do is set our depth chart. Wait, Tuit is coming back. If I click on this, it's going to take me to our depth chart. Which is fine. We're going to have some other guys actually that come back from injury. So let's actually wait to do that until we actually are looking at the preseason. In fact, let's go ahead and advance to that point. How do I... Oh, advanced week. So I don't need to adjust the roster. Well, actually, let's do this because what I want to look at is left tackle. That's the only position where we're going to have to move somebody because Jackson, Dan Moore, and Okorafor are all at that position. So who's the better pass blocker? Jackson. So Dan Moore, why is he down? Come on, man. So his pass blocking is definitely better than Dan Moore. How's his run blocking? His run block power has room for improvement, but he's not a guy that relies on strength anyway. So Dan Moore goes to right tackle. Do I need to set team captains now? Because Big Ben, I'm sure, was one. We need to probably replace him with one. It's kind of irrelevant, honestly. I don't think it impacts their morale or anything. But maybe it does, so let's do that while we're thinking about it. Let's go Rasta. Hayward is like TJ Watt, you're a team captain. All team captains, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Who else? So we've got Hayward, Watt. I need an offensive player. Like, do I do Najee Harris at 24 years old? Yeah. You know what? No. Your quarterback is a team captain. Period. So let's go there first. Do that. I don't know how many team captains I need to set, but let's do that. He is going to be a team captain simply because you got to be a leader. You know what I mean? All right. Maybe some of the veterans don't like that, but that's just kind of how I look at it. How about, Tuitt? I don't think so. Deontay, maybe? Devin Bush. No, let's go with Fitzpatrick. He's stud. How many team captains can I have? That's at least 4, right? I don't know if I can do any more. Let's find out. Let's try and find somebody else on the offensive side to do. Maybe Trey Turner. Where are you? Trey Turner. Can we make him a captain? That's 5. I'm not doing it anymore. I don't even know if I can. Let's look at it just to see. Don't think it matters too much in terms of the mechanics of the game. Yeah, okay, that's all of them. All right. Now we advance week. We get to the regular season. Basically, I want to get to the preseason because we've got some guys that are still showing up on injured reserve. I forgot to mention that. So, like, Alu, I want to consider trading him, but it wouldn't let me. Like, if I go manage roster and injury report, we still have 2 or 3 guys on here. Yeah, these 2. And they're out for another 5 weeks. So until he comes off of there, I can't even try to trade him. Which is stupid because he's not on injured reserve. The season's over. So why can I not trade him? Maybe it's just because he has to pass a physical, I guess. Whatever, doesn't matter. Advance week, and it's actually advancing like a couple months. So we will be completely healthy whenever this simulation is done. Hall of Fame induction. Take a look. What do we have here?
When DeMarcus Ware was selected 11th overall in the 2005 NFL Draft, he became the first Troy University player to ever be chosen in the opening round.
This is cool.
Now, 17 years later,
now
he's the
what's
first Trojan
stupid
to be
is that they're only going to have
into the
this
Pro
for like
Football
1 or
Hall
2
of Fame.
seasons, I bet,
His
and then
138.5 sacks ranked 9th all-time in NFL history.
what do they do for this
And his
farther
9
on down
Pro Bowl
the
selections are tied
franchise.
with fellow legends like Walter Payton, Ed Reed,
I don't want to
Derek
skip it because I
Thomas,
don't know if it's
and
going to
John
skip
Elway.
all of them or just
Now,
his.
DeMarcus joins them in the Hall of Fame.
We're about to find out, though. Because after they do this one, I'm sure they're going to do, like, if Larry Fitzgerald retired, learn from the greatest. +5. What? I get that? Just for watching that? Or is that the only one we're going to get to watch? That's it. Hire and assign scouts. We should already have scouts, don't we? Maybe we look for some new scouts. So this guy, his specialty as our national scout, or no, as our West scout. So we got to mix this up here. Like, we don't need this guy. So I don't need to worry about quarterbacks. He gone. Defensive end, I think I'm okay with. I'm going to fire this guy simply because I want somebody that has an expertise in 2 different positions. I don't really need guards and centers, so he gone. And he gone. So like right now, I'm not really sure what we want to look at for drafts. So, how do I go to hire? Oh, so I've got 1 scout, tier 1 that can cover left end and right end. Let's go to free agent scouts. A national scout that can basically see, for my national scout, I want a tier 3. So tier 3 is your rock stars. Now, we're good at free safety and strong safety. But I mean, these are the 2 best out there that, you know what, let's look at dang. Halfback and fullback, maybe? I'm trying to think of what we want to do here. Because, again, like, I feel like our roster right now is in decent shape. I'm trying to think of what we're going to need next. I don't know if we're going to be able to re-sign Minkah Fitzpatrick when that time comes, because he's going to want crazy money. So let's go here. He's the best scout out there. Yeah. Hire. Yes. Now I need to go down to the tier 2s. I don't need another free safety specialist. I don't need tackle specialists. Aqib Talib, scout me some corners, man. That's where I should have looked, but I didn't have a tier 3 that can, crush it against corners. So I need Talib to get the job done covering corners. So that's that. That's my tier 2. Can I get another tier 2? That's maybe good at wideouts. Is there any other one? Let's look at halfbacks and fullbacks. Or should I get Rondé Barber to also look at corners? Because we've got to get... No, I'm not making the mistake of, like, only having a couple of positions kind of scouted. We've got to spread the love. So let's look at halfbacks. I know Najee Harris is really good, but... running backs don't last forever. It's always good. If I can get somebody in like the 3rd round that's a steal, we'll take it. Oh, okay, so I need to go now down to tier 1. I don't need guards and centers. I already got somebody looking at ends. I don't need a quarterback. Let's get Dwayne Walters. Have him looking at fullbacks and halfbacks. And then, how about middle linebacker maybe? Derek Johnson? That works for me. Wait. When replacing a scout, you must... Don't I have... Do I need another tier 3? I mean, I'll take it. Okay, what did I do wrong there? Oh, did I wrap around and go back to the top of the list? Because I need a tier 1. I need somebody that's tier 1, I think. Chris Stokes. Can you find me a good middle linebacker, my man? There we go. I don't know what I did wrong there, but... Alright, so now we've got safeties and corners covered. We've got a lot of defense covered. But I also feel like, in terms of our age situation, defense is where we maybe have the most concerns. But some of that's at D tackle, and we didn't really address that. So, it's okay, though. We're in good shape right now. So I think we're ready to rock. This season, or this episode now feels like it's dragging. So I want to try and... Okay, returning from injury, Alu Alu and Zach Banner. So now the last thing that we're going to do is I want to go into the trade center, and can I just, like, let's look at the trade block and see what's out there. And basically what we're looking for is somebody that we can use on our team, and we'd be giving up a defensive tackle. Like, I don't need a backup quarterback. I've already got Haskins that's not that much worse than a 70 overall, so that doesn't make sense. Yeah, we're not going to get any of these guys, I don't think. It'd be nice, because we'd get better, but... I mean, honestly, like Henderson at 79 overall, but they don't need a defensive tackle. I'm looking for somebody that needs a D tackle so that they would be interested in... Oh, I just saw Khalil Herbert. This dude, I picked him up in fantasy a couple of weeks ago, and he has been awesome for the Bears. In the 2 weeks that they've featured him as their, star, or, their number 1 running back, he has, met the challenge with flying colors. I mean, he's been awesome. Let's go ahead and maybe see about, well, I don't need a wide receiver, though. I like the wide receivers that we have. How about tight end? Anybody on here looking for a defensive tackle? He's 24. He's a 71 overall. Can I get this dude? Let's look at his player card. He's not very good at blocking. So, I don't really like that much. Where'd he go? He's also 24. Oh, Foster Moreau, 25. I like him. Let's look at Harrison Bryant. Whoever's the better blocker out of this. See, 63. Although, did they want a D tackle? They do. Oh my gosh, what? I don't know. Yes, they do. And the Raiders don't. So let's see if we can get this guy. Here's what we're going to do. Let's offer them Alu Alu straight up. Because we've got some guys down here. If he's gone, I will put Bugs as my number 3 D tackle on the depth chart to try and get him some reps whenever these guys come out of the game to get a breather. Let's see if they accept this. They're not very interested. Come on, man. Oh, that puts them over the cap. Dang it. Well, that stinks. You know what? I'll work on this in between episodes so that you don't have to see me try and figure out a trade that's worthwhile. And then when we start the next episode, I will let you know what we've done on that front. It might be a scenario where we just try and go get the best draft pick that we can and use it that way. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, comment below, and we will see y'all next time.
Good evening, friends and neighbors. Or shall I say this afternoon?